Okay, shalom, shalom. This is Israel Wake Up. This is our evening Sabbath class, 14th of November 2020. Okay, and we're gonna do a moment of silence in regards to our Redeemer, the Lord of Hosts, and all that He's doing to orchestrate our departure from the lands of our oppressors. And then we're gonna do a evening Sabbath prayer, and then current events, and go from there. Okay. Oh Lord, we come before Thee at this closing of your Sabbath day, thanking You for Your mercy and Your great power. We appreciate You, O Lord, for Your patience and guidance in these last days. Oh Lord, we thank You for Your awakening of us to this great understanding of Your word. We come before You, keeping, directing, and guiding us, guiding us through the upcoming week. Oh Lord, for there are trials and pestilence and mayhem at every turn. Oh Lord, we see Your mighty hand in the world's affairs and how You are constructing Your people's deliverance. And we trust and rely upon Thee. For this cause, we honor and respect You greatly. Turn not Thy face from us, but allow us in our searching of You to find You, O Lord, and to dwell with You. Peace be unto You. Okay, with that being said, you got any current events, anything somebody want to bring up or talk about? Okay, what I got right here is there's something that I think is kind of interesting. This dude right here, he's supposed to be a prophet. I think he's from Africa, but they saying he's an angel. But he's supposed to be prophesying about whether Trump is going to concede or not. So I'm going to play a little bit of it.
Welcome to God's Heroes with me, your host, Bishop Kaidua, and on this program, in a world exclusive, right here in the Good News Studios, I will be putting the highly esteemed Prophet Angel under the spotlight. Prophet Angel, it is so good to have you. It's an honor to be here. Thank you so much for doing this for us. I know that you don't give interviews, so we are highly appreciative of you being here. That said, I'm going to get straight to the point. Just a few days ago, you brought forth a prophecy concerning the United States elections, the hot topic on everybody's lips at the moment. But before we come to that, how would you want us to understand the prophet and the prophetic? I'll say, anyway, thank you. And I give interviews. I've been interviewed at the immigration every time. Every time I arrive at the airport, they interview me. In countries that I visit, they interview me. So there's just too many interviews. So I don't do the other interviews, but I do interviews. So anyway, when we come to the prophetic, I think the issue I would really love the church to get to is to understand that the prophetic has to have prophets in it that are void of personal opinions. Yeah. That when God speaks a thing, it doesn't matter what your color is, what your race is, where you come from, what your mother does or your father does, your social stratification. You just present God's message the way it is, sort of a parrot. God speaks, you speak. So are there too many prophets interjecting their own opinion? Of course, we are affected by culture. Imagine if Jesus had gone to Israel and said, "I'm the rice of life." You know, it wasn't going to really resonate with them. They were people used to the desert, so they understood that water is very crucial. And the Son of God Himself came in and said, "I'm the water of life." Immediately, they're like, "That's it." Then He says, "I'm the bread." That's their staple food. So it really kind of culture and the place you are in can affect how you speak to your people. It doesn't really mean say you're using your feelings, but it's kind of, you have to look at the environment and also try to see the person that you are talking to. So sometimes it gets to you. So which culture would you say that you're most significant as a prophet? I think God really blessed us a lot with my wife, Bibi, in that we have all kinds of churches. We have over 150 branches. You understand? We are in Venezuela. We are in America. We are in New Zealand, and not just people of color in our church. No, you know our church in London. Yeah. The branch in London has got a whole lot. We're talking about Indians, whites, you get the point, and so our church is really, really a coat of many colors. So, I'm significant in.
Okay, so I'm trying to lay a foundation for everybody that's watching to understand that when somebody like yourself, that we widely regard as probably the most significant and prolific prophetic voice in Christendom, if not the world, in today.
That's so kind of you, but I don't lose sleep over it. I'm thinking who is the best, and I just do my part. Thank you so much.
But would you say that to be a true prophet of God, you must transcend all cultures and all countries?
Sometimes, okay, because it depends with the way you are situated, where God sends you to. God sent me as the prophet to the nations, so I can. You have seen the prophets that we have done way before. We're talking about, for instance, the Margaret Thatcher one that we mentioned 2 years, I believe it, 2 years before she died, with date and time and place of lying in state, everything done 2 years prior to that on live programs. So the issue is somebody in my nation, if I was, let's say, in South Africa or Zimbabwe or Namibia, they'll be like, why are you prophesying about Margaret Thatcher? Do you understand? Yes, because they are more concerned about their country. Whereas God is saying, no, this one I gave him to be the prophet to the nations. Yeah. Then some people are prophets in Africa, some people are prophets in Southern Africa, some people are prophets to America. So they kind of localize in that way. You understand? Yeah. That doesn't mean to say the one who is given the international platform is more important than the one who is given the local platform.
Oh, so let's deal with your international platform.
Yeah.
You have documented international prophecies that have come to pass with 100% accuracy.
Yeah.
That leads us to what you prophesied just a few days before the election. What brought you to that prophetic utterance?
Number one, the timetable for God is not America, it's Israel. And anybody that affects Israel is under God's spotlight. Yeah. When it comes to the timetable, everybody is under God's spotlight. He's really shining on everybody. No, not trying to watch where they misstep and stuff like that. No. But everybody is under God's eye. But when you touch Israel negatively or positively, God then can talk more about you, because it then affects Israel, or in relation to Israel. So when you have a Trump in America and you have a Biden in America, and Biden was in the previous administration, and there was not enough of impact, so to speak, on Israel in the positive way, and then you have Trump causing a positive way on Israel, it's so easy for God to say, I'm nudging you to talk about this thing.
Now, I'm glad you mentioned President Trump, because long before he even announced his candidacy in 2016, you prophesied that he would be a two-term president, which brings us to where we're at today. So what changed between 2016 and 2020?
If you notice in the same prophecy, I said two-term president. 1 term was supposed to be unconditional. Yeah, I think you remember that.
Yes, sir.
Then the second one, I said, is condition. What was the condition? If you remember,
it was depending on the church.
Exactly. So I didn't say it was a 2 term. I said first term is positive, no matter what you do. Yep. And I kept on repeating that in the prophecy. That first term, no matter what anybody does, you will vote for whosoever you want. I believe it was 3 million votes that Hillary was voted over Trump
in the popular vote. Yes.
Yeah, public vote. We're talking about the numbers of people that voted. Yeah, 3 million over Trump. But because of the electoral college votes, Trump won. But that's exactly what God said. Then he said the second term will be based on the church accepting him. Yeah. That's where we are.
Now, I've spoken to leaders all across North America, some that you and I both know. I have a sense that the church has a lot to do with where we find ourselves in America. Why do you believe the church has rejected God's choice for president?
Number one, I don't like to believe things in the sense of believing things. Belief is a noun. Faith is a verb.
Yes.
I spoke to God about this, and He said the church has to accept what He has done in the first term, what I've sent Him to do in the first term. Now, let me interject there. Yeah.
I know a lot of church people that don't accept what President Trump has done in the first term. So where do you think we've gone wrong in that respect?
I think, number one, you accept what God says.
Yep.
I accept what God says. Not because I don't see the language that President Trump uses or whatever it is. You know, most presidents just say whatever they feel.
Yep.
Because remember, we're not, these are not presidents of heaven.
Yes.
They are president of America.
Okay. Anybody got any comments on that? What they think about it? You got any feel for it? Any comments? If you want to watch all of that, it's Will Donald Trump succeed? Prophet Hubert the Angel. It's got part 1 and 2. Anybody got any comments on what they think about the prophet?
No. Wow.
When he brought up Jesus, that already X'd him out for me, and then he turned around and he's referencing Israel over there now as the real Israel. So we know what's up with him.
Right.
We know how them Africans love Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that X'd him out right there. But like I said, and then he putting a twist on the prophecy, he turning it as he go. But yeah, so with that being said, I'm gonna read out of Joshua again, chapter 34. And says, now after the death of Joshua, Judah said to Simeon, come thou and let us drive out the Canaanites out of my lot, and I will go with thee up into thy lot. And they did so, and they slew the Canaanites, 10,000 men. Caleb said, he that smiteth Kiriath-Sepher, to him will I give Akash my daughter to wife. And Owenthal, the younger brother of Caleb, took it. Then gave he unto him Ashkas, his daughter. And the children of Judah said unto the Kenites, ye are the children of Jethro, who was father-in-law to Moses. Ye shall dwell in the land, and ye shall fight for us, and we will fight for you. Then Judah went up with Simeon into his lot, and he took Gaza, Ashkelon, Ekron, and the mountains. But the inhabitants of the valleys he could not drive out, nor the Jebusites that dwell in Jerusalem, wherefore they dwell among them even to this day. Joseph also his lot did not drive out the Canaanites, but the Canaanites still dwell among them. Manasseh and his lot did not utterly drive them out, for the Canaanites would dwell in Megiddo, Dor, Tanakh, and Beshan. Neither did Ephraim drive out the Canaanites, but they dwell with them in Gezer. And the children of Zebulun made the inhabitants of Kitron and Mizrael their tributaries. And the children of Asher also dwelled among the Canaanites, the inhabitants of the land, in Aku, Zidon, Ahel, Akzib, Helba, and Aklik, and Rehab. Neither did Naphtali drive out the Canaanites. Nevertheless, made they the inhabitants of Bashemah of Bethanah tributaries. So also the tribe of Dan dwelt among the Canaanites. And it came to pass when the tribe of the children of Israel had gone up each into his lot, that Phinehas, the priest, spake unto the elders of the people and said, What is this that thou hast done? Moses, the servant of the Lord, said unto you, Ye shall surely drive out all the inhabitants of the land. And behold, ye have made a league with the Canaanites, and with the Jebusites, with the Perizzites, and with the Amorites, and ye dwell among them. And the elders of the people said, They were too strong for us. Peradventure, if we had not made a league with them, we would have all perished. We, our wives, our children, and all our flocks, and our herds, and our gold, and our silver, and our virgins, even our possessions, have been a prey unto them. For who are they now? Moses and Joshua are dead. We can lead forth all the people to battle. Who can lead forth all the people to battle? Then answered Phinehas and said, The Canaanites will henceforth be as thorns in your side, and their customs will be as snares unto you. And the Lord, the God of our fathers, will not go forth with our armies. And the elders of the people lifted up their voice and wept because of those things which should befall all Israel. Now Caleb ruled in Israel after Joshua was dead 12 years, and the people dwelled in peace all his days. And Caleb died and was buried, and the children of Israel mourned until 30 days. So what we read out of this chapter, what we got out of this chapter is we started to find out what was Israel's problem was. When Moses was there, Joshua and Caleb, they were driving out the people to land, those Canaanites, the giants. But they got comfortable with them and started making leads and making them cities, tributaries, and living amongst them. And so these, like I was saying, when you understand what's going on, these from what Enoch tells us is that these angels came from heaven, and they came in through the portal at Bethel. They came and went in to Mount Hermon on that plateau, and they made a pact there to go and take wives. Then they went to Egypt and they started taking women or who they chose and went into them and start having kids. Well, these angels dwell on mountains. That's where Michael dwells. He dwells on Mount Hermon. On Mount Zion. That's where he dwells. So these giants in the land going up on these mountains in the high places. That's why they call them high places. They're going up there to where their fathers at, dealing with them. They're going up there worshiping them. And so because they didn't drive them out, Caleb just told them, Joshua told them that you're going to pick up their customs, just like we're doing now. There's nothing new under the sun. We amongst these people, and we done picked up their customs to the point to where we don't know who the hell we is. But anyway, they kept going up to these. That's their whole problem. They kept worshiping idols, going up to these high places, and worshiping these fallen angels, and worshiping these images and all that. These giants, which they perverted because of how they was conceived. So they got a perverted mind, and they falling in the league right behind them. And that's been Israel's problem all the way up to today. So, like I was saying before, it was a good thing that to read that chapter, because again it opened up your understanding, and then you get to see our predicament today. Like I said before, if he's hid himself from us, how in the hell are we dealing with him? If it's been 2,500 years and he been hid, ain't no way we dealing with him. We dealing with something, but it ain't him. So that's really self-explanatory. Okay. So what I want to do right here is before I start, the topic tonight is it's going to be a short class. Is the Levites, and like we was dealing with the class this morning, how that these Levites is they part of the process. Matter of fact, they're a major part of the process. So you have to understand their role and where they fit in at, because without them being where they supposed to be at, Israel is in disarray. So, with that being said, I wanted we talked about Zedekiah this morning and how that Zedekiah how he did Jeremiah, put him in prison, put him down in a cistern, and did all kind of stuff to him. But then eventually at the end, because all of them, they got, they Israelites, so eventually it's gonna sink in, and the fear gonna come on them from the Lord of hosts. So I'm gonna pick this up with I'm gonna pick it up in 38. Jeremiah 38. And what's going on is, after he done burned the scrolls and all the stuff he did to Jeremiah, now he goes to get Jeremiah, and he want to seek Jeremiah's advice, because he see all that Jeremiah had prophesied and came upon him. It's coming up upon him. So we're gonna pick it up in 38, and it says Zedekiah seeks advice from Jeremiah. So remember all he done to him. So 14. This is 38 and 14. Then Zedekiah the king took Jeremiah the prophet unto him into the third entry that is in the house of the Lord. And the king said unto Jeremiah, I will ask thee a thing, hide nothing from me. Then Jeremiah said unto Zedekiah, if I declare unto thee, wilt thou not surely put me to death? And if I give thee counsel, wilt thou not hearken unto me? So Zedekiah the king swore secretly unto Jeremiah, saying, as the Lord liveth, that made us this soul, I will not put thee to death, neither will I give thee into the hands of these men that seek thy life. So people, just to expound on this, everybody fumbling with the soul and the spirit and all this. Christianity got that all twisted up. He tells these Israelites understood what was going on with the soul, the makeup of the body, all that. So 15 says, Jeremiah said unto Zedekiah, if I declare unto thee, wilt thou not surely put me to death? And if I give thee counsel, wilt thou not hearken unto me? So Zedekiah the king swore secretly unto Jeremiah, saying, as the Lord liveth, that made us this soul. See that? So what is the soul? That's who the person is. And it goes back to what I was saying about the name. Same thing with the angels. The soul is, the name is connected to the soul. And the person grows into that. So you say, what are you talking about? Well, he told Jeremiah, when he first came to Jeremiah, he said, I knew you before you was in your mother's womb. So the Most High, these angels, they spirits. And so the flesh part of Jeremiah wasn't there when he knew him before. It was the soul that was there. Then he said, he asked Job, do you know where, was you there in the womb when I put the soul in the fetus? Well, is you there? So the soul is the person, is the person itself. So he says, let's read it again. Then Jeremiah said unto Zedekiah, if I declare unto you, if I declare it unto thee, wilt thou not surely put me to death? And if I give thee counsel, wilt thou not hearken unto me? So Zedekiah the king swore secretly unto Jeremiah, saying, as the Lord liveth that made us, this soul I will not put thee to death, neither will I give thee into the hands of these men that seek thy life. Then said Jeremiah unto Zedekiah, thus saith the Lord, the God of hosts, the God of Israel, if thou wilt assuredly go forth unto the king of Babylon's princesses, then thou shalt live, and this city shall not be burned with fire, and thou shalt live in thine house. So he told him right here, point blank. He been knew that Jeremiah was sent by the Lord, but he had a problem with it. So he did all this wicked stuff to him. So Jeremiah just told him how to get out of it. He says, go to the princess of Babylon, and submit yourself to him, and you will live. Right? 17. Then said Jeremiah unto Zedekiah, thus said the Lord, the God of the host, the God of Israel, if thou wilt surely go forth to the king of Babylon's princesses, then shall thy soul live, and this city shall not be burned with fire, and thou shalt live in thine house. So it means his sons and all his wives and everything. But if thou wilt not go forth to the king of Babylon princesses, then shall the city be given into the hands of the Chaldeans, and thou shalt burn it with fire, and thou shalt not escape out of thy land. And Zedekiah the king said unto Jeremiah, I am afraid of the Jews that are fallen to the Chaldeans, lest they deliver me into their hands, and they mock me. But Jeremiah said, they shall not deliver thee. Obey. This for us. Anybody dealing with the Most High, Lord of hosts. But Jeremiah said, they shall not deliver thee. Obey and beseech thee the voice of the Lord, which I speak unto thee, so it shall be well unto thee, and thy soul shall live. There go the soul again. Zedekiah. That's whose soul is. Zedekiah. The flesh is just flesh. It's the soul, which is tied to the breath. They breathe into Adam. The body was just laying there. Then he put Adam in the body. Adam is the soul. So he says, 21, but if thou refuse to go forth, this is the word that the Lord hath showed me. And behold, all the women that are left in the kings of Judah house shall be brought forth to the king of Babylon princes, and those women shall say, thy friends have set thee on and have prevailed against thee, and thy feet are sunk into the mirror, and they are turned away backwards. So they shall bring out all thy wives and thy children to the Chaldeans, and thou shalt not escape out of their hand, but shall be taken by the hand of the king of Babylon, and thou shalt cause this city to be burned with fire. Then Zedekiah said unto Jeremiah, let no man know of these words, and thou shalt not die. But if the princes hear that I have talked with thee, and they come unto thee, and say unto thee, declare unto us now what thou hast said unto the king, hide it not from us, and we will not put thee to death. Also what the king said unto thee. So let's look at this, because this crazy. So you got the prophet of God, a real prophet. He in the temple of the Lord. The Lord, it's the Lord's temple. So he didn't went and got him and called himself sneaking and got him on the side, pulled him in the chambers, in one of the chambers in the temple, but he hid. And then he tell Jeremiah, tell him the truth of the matter. That's what the Lord said about him. Jeremiah tell him, then he got enough nerve to turn around and tell Jeremiah, if you say anything to somebody, I'm not gonna let you live. When you ain't got no control. You ain't in control of nothing. You see right here, you ain't in control of nothing. Because you ducking and dodging and hiding all around the temple. You don't want nobody else to see that the Most High done put pressure on you. So that's crazy. And like I said, that's what we seeing today. Like, matter of fact, the guy we just listened to, he ain't got no word from the Lord. Because he think Israel, people over in the land of Israel is the real Israelites. So he ain't got no word from God. So anyway, so he told him, if you submit to the princes of Babylon, you're gonna live. So let me show you that right quick. Let me get it right quick. So we know from the book of Enoch that Yahweh has 7 angels that's before his throne, and they do all this bidding for him. And so the Lord came to Nebuchadnezzar and told him, I showed you that he came to Nebuchadnezzar when he got ready to fight against the king of the Araflat, the king of the Chaldeans, and he helped Nebuchadnezzar to win. And Nebuchadnezzar won, and nobody was expecting him to win, but he won. So let me get this right quick. So just like the Israelites, the seven elders on Mount Zion saw the seven angels, and they saw Yahweh on Mount Zion on Mount Zion when it was on fire. Nebuchadnezzar saw it too. So let me get this. If I can find it. So let me get it. Yeah. So he had so he prophesied to him and told him, if you do what I tell you to do and obey the Most High voice, then you're gonna live and submit yourself to the princes of Babylon. Let's find these princes of Babylon. Show you what time it is. It says, yeah, just for the sake of time, what happened is Nebuchadnezzar got seven princesses that follow him around. He called them seven counselors. So he picked all that up from his encounter with the Most High. And so just like the Most High got these seven angels, Michael is the Lord of hosts over them, Zedekiah set his kingdom up the same way. This is the reason Babylon is the head out of the four beasts. So I'm in 52. I'm gonna give you some part of it. So it says Zedekiah was 120 years old when he began to reign, and he reigned 11 years in Jerusalem. And his mother's name was Amathal, the daughter of Jeremiah of Libnah. And he did that which was evil in the eyes of the Lord, according to all that Jehoiakim had done. For through the anger of the Lord it came to pass in Jerusalem and Judah till he had cast them out from his presence, and Zedekiah rebelled against the king of Babylon. So he told him, Jeremiah told him inside the temple in the chamber, don't rebel against the king of Babylon. Go up and submit yourself to him and to his princesses. He did just the opposite. And he told him, if you do rebel against him, he's gonna burn the house, burn your house, and burn the temple, and burn all the people's houses, and then take them to Babylon. So, verse 4, and it came to pass. The reason it's saying that is because of what Jeremiah said. It came to pass. And it came to pass in the 9th year of his reign, in the 10th month, in the 10th day of the month, that Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, came, he and all his army, against Jerusalem, and pitched against it and built forts against it around about. So the city was besieged until the 11th year of King Zedekiah. And in the 4th month, in the 9th day of the month, the famine was sore in the city, so that there was no bread for the people of the land. Then the city was broken up, and all the men of war fled and went forth out of the city by night, by the way of the gate between the two walls, which were by the king's garden. Now the Chaldeans were by the city round about, and they went by the way of the plain. But the army of the Chaldeans pursued after the king and overtook him. This is what Jeremiah told him was going to happen if he rebelled. And he overtook Zedekiah in the plains of Jericho, and all his army was scattered from him. Then he took the king, carried him up unto the kings of Babylon at Riblah in the land of Hamath, where he gave judgment upon him. And the king of Babylon slew all the sons. This is what Jeremiah told him. Slew all the sons of Zedekiah before his eyes. He slew also the princes of Judah and Riblah. Then he put out the eyes of Zedekiah, and the king of Babylon bound him in chains and carried him to Babylon and put him in prison to his death. So just what Jeremiah told him in the chamber, he went and did just the opposite. But he's supposed to be so afraid of the Lord and afraid of Jeremiah, but he did just the opposite of what he told him. And we see what happened. And so the reason I'm showing you this is the Most High, the Lord of hosts tells us he don't change not. So if this is how he operated back then, he operating the same way now. There ain't nothing new under the sun.
Right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm gonna try this one more time. See if I can find it, because it's kind of profound. A lot of people don't know this. Yeah. Yeah, so I'll find it and I'll get it to you on Monday. So anybody got any questions about what I just read or what I just talking about? Any comments? Okay, so what I'm dealing with, or the topic what I'm dealing with for the night is I'm reading out of Second Chronicles, and I'm reading all the chapter 17. And what it's referring to is the fact that uh, I told you Most High got a covenant with David, and the covenant he has with David is that he's gonna always, even though they understanding that they're gonna go off. The kings, some of the kings that's wicked as hell, they're gonna go off and lead Israel off down the wrong road, and the only way to bring them back is he got to raise up a king like David is, and that's the prophecy. That's the covenant he got with David. He's gonna always raise a righteous king up like David is to bring them back to bring Jerusalem and bring the Israelites back around to him. You know, that way he ain't got, because if he don't, he gonna have to destroy him. So one of the example of that is Second Chronicles, chapter 17, Jehoshaphat. Hezekiah is one. And I talked this morning about Josiah. He was the last righteous king on the throne that before they went to Babylon. And then once he died, all his sons were wicked as hell. So I'm in Second Chronicles chapter 17. And like I said, if he's gonna bring a righteous king on the throne to turn him back to Israel, he got to have a bunch of righteous Israelites with him, a bunch of righteous Levites and priests. So I'm in chapter 17, and I'm gonna start in verse 16. And let me see. So I'm gonna start with Asher. That's Asher is Jehoshaphat father. Says and his grandfather was Abijah. Says, but Abijah waxed mighty, married 14 wives, and we got 22 sons, 16 daughters, and the rest of the acts of Abijah and his ways and his sayings are written in the story of prophet Edu. So Abijah slept with his fathers, and they buried him in the city of David. And Asher his son, reigned in his stead. And the days of the land was quiet 10 years, and Asher did that which was good. See that? Asher did that which was good and right in the eyes of the Lord his God. And he took away the altars of the strange gods and the high places. I was telling you about these giants going up in these high places, and break down the images and cut down the groves, and commanded Judah to seek the Lord God of their fathers and to do the law and the commandments. And he took away out of all the cities of Judah the high places and the images, and the kingdom was quiet before him. And he built fenced cities in Judah, for the land had rest, and he had no war in those years because the Lord had given him rest. Okay, so like I was saying, this the Most High doing. He said he got a promise with David, he's gonna always bring a righteous seat on the throne. Okay, but then Asher, when he got older, he did like Solomon did. He ended up turning from the Lord, turned his face from the Most High, and went to he got sidebar. So I'm picking it up in Second Chronicles 16 and 13. It says, and Asher slept with his fathers and died in the 140th year of his reign. And they buried him in his own sepulchres, which he had made for himself in the city of David. And he laid him in the bed which were filled with sweet odors and divers kinds of spices prepared by the apocryphy art, and they made a very great burning for him. And then now we come to Jehoshaphat. It says, Jehoshaphat, his son, reigned in his stead and strengthened himself against Israel. And he placed forces in all the fenced cities of Judah, and he set garrisons in the land of Judah and in the cities of Ephraim, which Asher, his father, had taken. And the Lord was with Jehoshaphat because he walked in the first ways. Look at this. He walked in the first ways of his father David. See that? So he brought Most High doing this. He put the same spirit and the same countenance that was on David. He put it on this boy right here. It says, the first ways of his father David, and sought not unto Balaam, but sought the Lord God of his fathers, and walked in his commandments, and not offered the doings of Israel. So that's what we're witnessing now. The prophecy in let me read it right quick. The prophecy in Isaiah. Let me read it right quick. Isaiah 44. So we've been over here 2,500 years at least, and we are all over the place. We don't know what's going on. So he says, yet now hear, this Isaiah 44, 1. Yet now hear, O Jacob, my servant, and Israel, whom I have chosen. Thus saith the Lord that made thee and formed thee from the womb, which will help thee. Fear not, O Jacob, my servant, and thou Jezreel, whom I have chosen. I will pour water upon him that is thirsty, and floods upon dry ground. I will pour my spirit upon thy seed, and my blessings upon thine offspring. So it ain't no different than what he just done with Jehoshaphat. He can do that at a whim. There ain't nothing hard to do. So he says, and we see that happening now. He's raising people up now. He putting the righteous seed from back in the day, that spirit on people now, raising them up and bringing them out in the open, and they proclaiming what his word. So he says, therefore the Lord established the kingdom of his hand, and all Judah brought to Jehoshaphat presents, and he had riches and honor and abundance, and his heart was lifted up in the ways of the Lord. Moreover, he took away the high places, the groves out of Judah. So let's look at this. So the wicked kings, they going up there and doing what these Canaanites doing, and they ain't have no success. But every time somebody do what the Most High do, everything fall in place. So it shouldn't be no stress about if you're doing what the Most High said, then you got to believe the blessing going to overtake you. So he said, verse 6, and his heart was lifted up in the ways of the Lord, right? Moreover, he took away the high places, the groves out of Judah. Also in the 3rd year of his reign, he sent to his princes, even to Ben-Hur and to Obadiah and to Zechariah and Neathel and Micaiah. Look at this, to teach in the cities of Judah. So, like I say, the king, the vessels, the temple, and the Levites, they all go hand in hand. The king, if the king righteous, then the Levites, he got to have a bunch of righteous Levites around him. So it says, and with them he sent Levites, even Shema, I read that. It says, Shema, Mitha, Zebna, I can't pronounce his name, and Jehoiada the priest, and they taught in Judah, and they had the book of the law of the Lord with them. It wasn't no New Testament, it's the Old Testament. And they went about throughout all the cities of Judah and taught the people. Now it said 10, because of what he's doing what's the Most High, he's got the spirit of David on him. Verse 10, and the fear of the Lord fell upon all the kingdoms in the land that were round about Judah, so that they made no war against Jehoshaphat. So look at that. Ain't that something? So long as they wicked as hell, they doing anything they want to them. But as soon as the righteous king come, they afraid because they know that Yahweh with him, the Lord of hosts with him. So they get afraid. So their whole objective is to get you to sin, to trick you off somewhere, so they can misuse you and do what they want to you. So he says, so what you have to remember is he watching. And when you when you stand up for him, then he gonna stand up for you. And the people got to get. So it says, and the fear of the Lord fell upon all the kingdoms of the land that were round about Judah, so that they made no war against Jehoshaphat. Also, some of the Philistines brought Jehoshaphat presents and tribute silver, and the Arabians brought him flocks. Look at this. The Israelite gonna need flocks, especially a righteous Israelite, because he's gonna sacrifice. So he needs flocks. So it says, the Arabian brought him flocks, 7,700 rams, 7,700 he goats, and Jehoshaphat waxed great exceedingly, and he built in Judah castles and cities of store, and he had much business in the cities of Judah, and the men of war, mighty men of valor, were in Jerusalem. And these are the numbers of them according to their house, their father, of Judah, the captain of thousands. So he got all, just like David, he got all these mighty men around him. That people don't understand that the Most High got the spirit on these giants, and they protected Jehoshaphat, just like they protected David. So let me give you a couple more examples. Then we'll talk about it for a minute and close out. So I'm in second Ezra. We'll read that. If I can find it. Okay. So I'm in second Ezra right quick. Give you another example of how these it's mandatory that Most High's order is in place. If we expecting anything to get anything good out of what's getting ready to happen, everything got to be in place. So I'm in second Ezra, and this is Zerubbabel, and they coming back. Zerubbabel is another one of those righteous kings, just like Jehoshaphat, Hezekiah, and Asher. They was all righteous. They was likened unto David. So in the second year, Zerubbabel, the son of Sethel, came to the temple of God in Jerusalem, and in the second month he began with Joshua, the son of Zodak, and their brothers, and the Levitical priests, and all who had come back from the exile to Jerusalem, and they laid the foundation of the temple of God on the new moon of the second month in the second year after they came to Judah and Jerusalem, and they appointed Levites. See how the Levites always got to come in play. He appointed the Levites who were over 20 years old to have charge of the work of the Lord. And Joshua rose up, and his sons and his brothers, and Kedar, his brother, and the sons of Joshua, Emidon, and the son of Jodah, the son of Emidon, I can't say his name, with their sons and brothers, all Levites, as one man, pressing forward to do the work of the house of God. And the builders built the sanctuary of the Lord, and the priests stood in their robes with musical instruments, trumpets, and the Levites, the son of Asher, with their cymbals, praising the Lord and blessing him according to the direction of David. See how they keep going back to David? The direction of David, king of Israel. David dead and gone. And they sang loudly, giving thanks to the Lord with hymns, because all Israel enjoyed his goodness and his glory forever. And all the people sounded trumpets and gave great shouts, praising the Lord for the erection of the house of the Lord. And some of the Levitical priests and the older men among the heads of their families who had seen the house that had preceded this one came to the building of this house with outcries and loud lamentations. Okay, and we're going over some more. And it says, okay, okay, let me start right here. It says, and the elders of Israel built the house of the Lord in its old place, and I commanded that it be completely built, and that they seek earnestly to help the returned captives of Judah until the house of the Lord is finished, and that the grant from the tribute of Kolisha and Phoenicia be particularly given these men for sacrifices to their Lord. This is Zerubbabel, the governor, for bulls and rams and lambs, and likewise wheat and salt and wine and oil regularly every year without objection, as the priests in Jerusalem indicate. They are daily used so that the libations may be offered to the Most High God for the king and his children, and that they may pray for their lives. And he commanded further that if any transgress or disregard any of these things said above or added below, a beam shall be taken from his house, and he shall be hung on it, and his property be taken for the king. Therefore may the Lord, whose name is called upon there, destroy any king and nation that shall stretch out their hands to hinder or damage the house of the Lord in Jerusalem. So what we reading is these priests and Levites, they're the ones building the house. And so Darius got enough sense to know not to go up against that. And if he do, he's gonna come up missing. So he sent all the provisions, everything they needed to build the house, to rebuild the house of the Lord. This is what we get ready to witness with us. The Most High gonna put the spirit on these people. You ain't gonna believe the things they're gonna do, because he's gonna put the spirit on because the timing came. So he says, read a little more and then I'm gonna be through. Yeah, I wanted to read. Okay. It says this is what a lot of people don't know about Ezra. It says, and there came with him to Jerusalem with Ezra some of the Israelites, the priests and the Levites, and the holy singers, the doorkeepers, the temple slaves, in the 7th year of the reign of Ahaz, in the 5th month, that was the king's 7th year. For they left Babylon on the new moon of the 1st month, and they reached Jerusalem on the new moon of the 5th month. So prosperous a journey had the Lord given them for their sake. For Ezra possessed great knowledge, so that he neglected nothing that was in the law of the Lord or the commandments, but taught all Israel all the statutes and all the ordinances. So what you witnessing right now, you shouldn't be surprised that you got brothers popping up in all over the place in different areas. Most High giving them skill to break down His word, because they have to be in place in order to get Israel right. And we see it right here in 3 different examples. You got to raise the Levites up in order to get Israel back right, because they the ones He sent out. He took the tribe of Levi from among the Israelites and took them to Himself. Right. And so when you understand that, that's the suffering servant, because if Israel go astray, it's because of Levites. So when you understand that, it points right to Isaiah 53, and you see who the suffering servant is. And so let me show you that, because it says it's more than one. It's a whole bunch of Levites. So let's look at Isaiah 53, right? I'm going to read one verse, the first one. Isaiah 53. It says, who have believed our report? Our. So our is more than one. He says, who have believed our report, and to whom is the arm of the Lord revealed? It's the Levites. I'm showing you all through here. It's the Levites is the one He raised up when it's time for them to bring Israel back around. He raised the spirit of the Levites and the priesthood up. So that's who the suffering servant is in Isaiah 53. And what I always tell people is, if you're in Isaiah 53 and you want to know who the suffering servant is, go back 3 verses to Isaiah 52 and read 13, 14, and 15. And so I'm going to read it. 13 says, behold, my servant, right? We're looking for the suffering servant. Behold, my servant shall deal prudently. He shall be exalted and extolled and be very high. As many were astonished at his vestige, was so marred more than any man, and his form more than the sons, with an S on it. Sons of men. So shall he sprinkle many nations. The kings shall shut their mouths at him, for that which they had not been told them shall they see, and that which they had not heard shall they consider. So my question to people on the line is, who do the sprinkling in Israel? Anybody know the answer to that?
Levites.
There you go. They go to the answer right there who the suffering servant is. He says in 15, so shall he sprinkle many nations, and the kings shall shut their mouths at him, for that which had not been told them they shall see, and that which they should not have heard shall they consider. So when they was on Mount Sinai, Moses was Aaron and the Levites sprinkled blood all over the people. So the Levites the one, and the priesthood is the one do the sprinkling. So I just told you in Isaiah 52, 13, 14, 15, who the servant is, and I showed you in Isaiah 53 and 1, third verse. It says, who have lead out our report. So they tell you right there, the suffering servant is more than one person. It's a group of people. So Isaiah is the Levites. Let me go one more place for the people out there that's listening. Then I'm gonna close out. Numbers 19. I mentioned this earlier. He had said that, where he said he took the tribe of Levi from among the Israelites, the 12 tribes, and he brought them into himself. So we read it right here.
What scripture?
Numbers 19.
Thanks.
Numbers chapter 19 says, it says, Numbers 19 and 1, the Lord spake unto Moses and unto Aaron, saying, this is the ordinance of the law which the Lord hath commanded, saying, speak unto the children of Israel that they bring thee a red heifer without spot. This ain't it. Let me see. Yeah, let me keep going. This is the ordinance of the law which the Lord hath commanded, saying, speak unto the children of Israel that they bring thee a red heifer without spot, whereas no blemish, and upon which neither came yoke. And ye shall give her unto the Eleazar the priest, that he may bring her forth out of the camp, and one shall slay her before his face, and Eleazar the priest shall take her blood with his fingers and sprinkle. See that? Sprinkle of her blood directly before the tabernacle of the congregation 7 times. And one shall burn the heifer in his sight, and her skin and her flesh and her blood with her dung shall he burn. And the priest shall take the cedar wood and the hyssop and the scarlet and cast it into the midst of the burning of the heifer. So we see right here that they do doing the sprinkling. And where I was going was chapter 18, Numbers 18, verse 1. And the Lord said unto Aaron, thou and thy sons and thy father's house with thee shall bear the iniquity of the sanctuary, and thou and thy sons with thee shall bear the iniquity of the priesthood. So whatever go wrong in Israel, the sin fall on them. They're going to be suffering servant right there. And so he's taking them from among the Israelites to himself. So, and that's why they the ones that have to be set in place when it's time to teach the people, because they're getting it directly from him. And then when the people go wrong, sin fall on them. So when you understand all that, Isaiah 53 ain't nobody but Levi, tribe of Levi. Levi is suffering servant. Okay. So any comments before we go? We right at 1 hour. Anybody got any questions or comments before we report? Everybody good? Okay. Get some of this line. Okay, so I'm gonna say shalom. I'll see y'all on Monday. I'm putting together now this episode 11, dealing with the question that was asked in Obadiah. Do you understand the deep things Esau? So I'm gonna do a breakdown on Esau in episode 11. So I'm gonna say shalom. I'll see y'all Monday at 6 o'clock.
Shalom.
Shalom.
All right. Shalom, everyone.